Hello, everyone, and welcome to Exploring the Motherland, African News with Garth. I'm your host, Garth. Today is May 9th, 2025, 2025, yes, May 9th, 2025, excuse me. And I hope you all are enjoying your Friday. And, for some of you who are first-time viewers here at Exploring the Motherland, is a show created for the purpose of promoting the message of Quest Unite Africa. The message of, or the mission, excuse me, of Quest Unite Africa is to promote economic development and critical infrastructure for the benefit of the African diaspora and the African continent as a whole. We do this through four main components. That would be business, medicine, cultural engagement, and technological innovation. The purpose of this show is to keep you up to date with news developments that relate to our message, our mission, and to show you how we are needed in this time more than ever. So without further ado, that's my intro, and let's begin. Rwanda in talks to receive migrants deported from USA, foreign minister says. And let me get that article for you. Well, there's two articles. Let me put both in the chat. And the article reads, Rwanda in talks to receive migrants deported from USA, foreign minister says. Rwanda is in the early stages of talks to receive immigrants deported from the United States. Rwandan Foreign Minister Oliver, not going to even try to butcher that brother's name, said on television late on Sunday, Rwanda has entered negotiations with Washington to receive migrants deported from the United States. The East African country's foreign minister said on Sunday, the development comes months after controversial asylum agreement between Kigali and the UK collapsed. During a cabinet meeting at the White House last week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington is actively searching for other countries to take some of the most despicable human beings identified for removal from the United States. Rwanda has in recent years positioned itself as a destination country for migrants that Western countries would like to remove, despite concerns by right groups that Kigali does not respect some of the most fundamental human rights.
Hello there. So today let's talk about Rwanda. Now, a lot of people keep saying, why do you not talk about Rwanda nowadays? Did this Congo stop paying you? Now, today I'm going to talk about Rwanda. And the issue I want to talk about Rwanda is that the US is planning or have been having talks with Rwanda to accept African or black deportees from the US. Now, as you know, the US President Donald Trump is arresting anyone they know that is an illegal migrant or doesn't have the visa to stay in the US, or basically people who are not American citizens and they consider them as illegals in the US. So they are now arresting them, and they're actually even paying people to snitch on them. Like there's this advertisement which pays someone $700 for every person you report to this ICE. ICE is the Department of Homeland Security. They are these guys who are coming to the homes, arresting people who are not supposed to be in the US. So when you report someone and he's arrested, you get paid 700. So a lot of people have been reporting other people. For example, I've had cases where some Nigerians have been reporting other Nigerians so that these Nigerians can be arrested. And there is now these holding cells or this kind of deportation center in the US full of people. Now, some of these people are citizens from African countries, and now the US has been sending others from Latin America, those from the countries below Mexico, that is Mexicans. Others are from Brazil, Venezuela. They're all being taken to this country called Salvador. Now, for the Africans, the US now plans to send them either to Rwanda or to Libya. And they've been talking to Rwanda and Libya. But apparently, now, the new story today is that Libya rejected that from this CBS News, and Rwanda has accepted it. Rwanda will be accepting these deportees, these illegal migrants who the US doesn't want, especially Donald Trump and the racist Americans do not want there. They are going to arrest them. They are going to put them on planes like this one, mostly the military planes, and then they are going to send them to Rwanda. And that is what is happening. Now, the other thing you need to know, uh, the claim is that they are taking these illegal people who have committed crimes in the US. But according to the judge in Washington, some of them have pending asylum application. Some of them have married Americans who hold citizenship. Others have married Americans or people in America who have the green card. They may not be Americans, but these are other citizens who have the green card, which allows a citizen to live in America and work in America for the rest of their life. It's called the green card. And some of these migrants who have been married to these other green card holders are being arrested also, being deported, despite the law in the US saying that if you are a spouse of someone who has a green card, you're also supposed to stay in the US. Others have not committed any crime, but the US is saying that the fact that they have tattoos means that they belong to gangs, and so they don't like them. They don't want them there. Some judges have even told the government to return some of the people they mistakenly took to this country called Salvador. The US, of course, has refused to do that because Donald Trump is a racist. You know that. I mean, I don't have to keep repeating it. Now, for the black people from who have come from Africa are going to be taken to Rwanda. Now, this includes people who are married to green card holders in the US. These include some black students who went to the US, started after finishing on student visa. They've been applying now for the migrant work visa, waiting for the application to go through, but they've been staying there either waiting for the application or working, because otherwise, what are you going to do? You do some course, some degree in the US, and the moment you finish, a lot of companies want to hire you because there's a lot of work there. Now, the alternative is you go back to Africa, there's no work for you there. So what do? You have to stay in the US, right? So now they want these guys put on these military planes and sent to Rwanda, and Rwanda wants to accept them. Rwanda doesn't know the pain people go through to go to the US. But Rwanda, because they like money, they just want them. The other issue, which I'm going to talk about later, is Rwanda wants to be a friend of the current administration in the US so that they can allow them to continue attacking Congo to steal the minerals in Congo. But I'm going to talk about that later, so you understand. Now, before this, there was that story where the United Kingdom wanted to do the same. They actually spent £1 billion on Rwanda so that they can prepare these hostels, construct hostels where the black people in Africa who are in the UK seeking asylum there would be relocated to Rwanda. Now, the Supreme Court in the UK said that that plan was illegal. It goes against human rights and the United Nations treaties. So that's why it was scrapped. And as you can see from this article, it says the UK had already spent 904 million. So it was a waste of money. They are saying it's a shocking waste because it never happened and they had spent all this money. And Rwanda was saying it is not going to pay, the UK said it's not going to pay Rwanda any more money because this deal is now scrapped. But Rwanda had already gotten $1 billion. So that is a deal that was scrapped after a lot of noise from the civil society, from NGOs, and human rights groups. And the judge in the Supreme Court found that actually it violated the rights of these people. These people work hard to go to leave their countries which are at war. The wars that are there have been created by these white people anyway. When they get to the UK or these European countries, they want to put them on a ship or on a plane to take them back to Rwanda. Rwanda is not even a safe country. Now, today the US wants to do the same because Rwanda apparently went to US telling them, if you have a problem with your migrants, we can accept them. From this article here, this article actually, when you read it, it's not the US that suggested the deal to Rwanda. It is Rwanda that approached the United States to basically suggest to them that we can host your migrants. We can help you with your illegal migrant problems. And this is after Rwanda saw in the news that the US was sending some of these migrants to El Salvador. So they decided, why not ask the US to bring some of those black African migrants to us and pay us money? So you understand, guys, every time you defend Rwanda, just know this is a very evil regime. This is a country that has no honor. There's no honor in this country. I've been talking about it. People say that I hate Rwanda.
All right, on to the next video. I have to agree with this brother who's narrating this video. It looks kind of shady for Rwanda to be so eager to take on migrants and to, align itself with the United States when it comes to the Congo matter, which I really don't talk about because it's a very complex, dynamic situation that I have to do more research to be able to convey what's really going on. But yeah, Rwanda is kind of doing some weird things. I'm not gonna lie, weird things, very bad things. In my, you know who I'm imitating. Next video.
Well, fellas, Rwanda has entered negotiation with Washington to receive migrants deported from the United States of America to the East African country. This is what's said by the foreign minister. They said this person is not afraid of snakes. The man, what he does is he's built an immune system against venom, snake venom. Have you heard of such story? Crazy, isn't it? Fellas, if you are a man or a woman, let's say a woman, okay, and a man that really likes you and you don't like him, gives you money, $10,000, okay, $5,000. Do you take it or you don't take it? You say, no, it's a gift for you. I'm just showing you appreciation. I see you're a nice woman and I just want you to see what kind of a man I am. Here's $5,000 for you. Do you take the money or you don't take it? Would you take it? Or would you not? Would you say, okay, I'm going to take it because, well, I didn't ask him to give me the money. Oh, by the way, I have things to resolve back home. I've got problems. My mom is not okay. We need to fix that side of the roof that's leaking. $5,000 will do something about it, or maybe $10,000. Or would you say, no, I'm not taking your money because I'm not interested in you. I don't want to lure you into thinking that I have any ideas or anything. I don't want you to have hopes. Therefore, I'm not taking you $10,000. Forget about the 5,000. I'm not taking you 10,000. Would you do that? Which one would you do? Well, the majority of people I can think of would probably take the money and say, I never asked him, especially Africans. I never asked him to give me, or I never asked him to buy me 2 brand new iPhones, last number, or I never asked him to buy me a car. I'm not interested in him. I didn't say, give me the car. You bought me the car, you put it in my name. Interesting, right? Well, fellas, Rwanda has entered negotiation with Washington to receive migrants deported from the United States of America to the East African country. This is what's said by the foreign minister.
I can confirm that this is the case, but the discussions are preliminary, so I won't go into the details that will be discussed.
Here's Rwanda on a map. Small country, but very interesting. A lot of hills, a lot of cows, beautiful women. Yes, look at that. And that, and that, And you should go visit. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. So this development comes interestingly after a controversial asylum agreement between Kigali and the UK collapsed. Do you remember that one? We're going to talk about it just now. In an interview with the state broadcaster Rwanda TV, Olivier Nduhungirehe said talks with the US government were at the early stage. He says we are discussing with the United States. It has not yet reached the stage where we can say exactly how things will proceed, but the talks are ongoing. This is what he said. So Rwanda is talking with the United States in order to find a way to bring you back to Africa. Yes, so if you're a migrant, you want to run away from your country, whether it's for right reason, you are really persecuted, the government don't like you, Trump don't like you either, since you came into the United States, they can send you to Rwanda. And you're going to be a refugee, not in America, but refugee in Rwanda. During a cabinet meeting at the White House last week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington is actively searching for other countries to take some of the most despicable human beings identified for removal from the US. Some of the most despicable human beings must go to Africa. This is crazy stuff.
We are working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings to your country.
Some of the most despicable human beings. That's how they perceive you. It's crazy stuff. Like, what kind of despicable? Like, why? How despicable are you? Despicable because you left your country because of war? Or are you despicable because you raped somebody? Or are you despicable because you unloved people? Or are you just despicable because you left your country and you're looking for a better place and better life? Crazy stuff. Rwanda has presented itself in recent years as a host country for people removed by Western nations, despite warning from human rights organizations. So some human rights organizations, unfortunately, say that Rwanda is not necessarily the place to be if you are deported from a foreign nation. United Nations Refugee Agency say that deportees sent to the African state risk being returned to the country they fled. Now, fellas, this happens just after UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer scrapped the scheme upon taking office in July 2024. So Rwanda had an agreement with the UK where all the deportees or all the immigrants, African ones especially, and some Asians that went to the UK illegally will not be kept in the UK anymore. They will be sent to Rwanda for processing. Basically, you will not enter UK. This program was called Stop the Boat because a lot of Africans leave Africa, they will cross to Europe, they go to Italy, they're not interested in Italy, they're not interested in France, they're going to go all the way to northern France in a place named Pas-de-Calais where they will enter a raft and cross the English Channel on the way to the UK. And a lot of Africans have been doing that. I mean, look at that. Look, these are Africans in France waiting for, these are refugees sleeping in tents. They're waiting for an opportunity to go to the UK. Why do they go to the UK? Because the UK services to foreign immigrants is much better than most of Europe. They treat you nice in the UK. They give you a house, they give you food, they look after you, they send you to hospital, unlike some other countries in Europe. So the UK say we cannot be spending tax money on people like this anymore. This is our money. We should be investing in our people. We shouldn't be wasting millions of dollars per day to put you into houses. This is none of our business.
Illegal migration is simply unfair. It's unfair on the British people who have opened their homes to genuine refugees. And it's unfair on taxpayers who are having to spend nearly £6 million a day to put up illegal migrants in hotels. It's unfair on the people who come to this country legally, who see others jump.
It was unfair until you lost all diplomatic corridors to strategic minerals. That's when it became unfair.
The queue, and it's particularly unfair to those putting their lives at risk in the hands of criminal gangs. That's why one of my top priorities as Prime Minister is to stop the boats.
So the UK collaborated with Rwanda, offering them hundreds of millions of dollars to build apartments in Rwanda where they will keep all of these Africans that will try to cross the English Channel, send them back to Rwanda where they will be processed. And many Africans were not happy with this. Some African called Rwandese like, okay, traitors, why are you doing this to other African nations? Well, Rwanda perceived it as an opportunity. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. Who's going to say no to that? Did they send you to go cross the English Channel? No, they didn't. Did they ask you to go to Europe illegally? They did not. Now, should they not get an opportunity to get money because you decided to cross the English Channel? Well, Rwanda needs money. Rwanda need hospital and roads, so they need the money. So after this program unfortunately failed, the newer government of the UK scrapped it up. But Rwanda say, well, we signed the contract. You still owe us about 50 million pounds. Rwanda pushed back after the deal termination, reportedly demanding 50 million pounds.
Okay, I will let you watch the rest of that video on your own time. My synopsis: this initiative between Rwanda and the United States is more of a benefit for America than Rwanda. The United States is adamant about dispelling people they deem as criminals and using Rwanda as an outlet. Rwanda is already dealing with crisis in Congo and accusations of human rights violations. Therefore, I believe that Rwanda as a whole get no real sustainable economic development by, taking in migrants, because that really isn't helping the country develop per se. It's just a way for the administration to have a diplomatic channel through the US to do whatever it really wants in the Congo. And, Rwanda should be finding ways to empower their citizens in the country, like Burkina Faso is doing, creating initiatives that actually foster real change instead of, taking on migrants. That's not a sustainable economic initiative. Okay, next story. Ghana secures deal with 9 more gold miners to buy 20% of their output. An article in the chat. And the article reads, Ghana has reached a deal with 9 more mining companies to purchase 20% of their gold production, a government body said on Wednesday, aiming to consolidate a gold purchase program meant to boost the country's gold reserves and stabilize its currency. Africa's top gold producer signed an agreement with members of industry group that included Gold Fields, Newmont, Anglo Gold Ashanti, and Ascano Mining in 2022 to purchase 20% of their annual output for the Central Bank of Ghana. Purchases are settled in Ghanaian cedi currency. The new deal covers mining companies not participating in central bank arrangements, according to statements on X from Gold Bod, a government body set up to streamline gold purchases from small-scale miners, increasing their earnings and reduce the impact of smuggling. And before I go on with the chat, in the near future, as Africans unite and work as one, Africa will become a world economic powerhouse that will be much greater than the USA and all other nations worldwide. Of course, I agree. And Cynthia, yeah, only 20% of their own resources. Well, you have to understand, and I'm pretty sure this video coming up is Ghana is controlling all of gold purchases within its country now. They are the only people who administer gold purchases and allocate gold purchases. So no one else can, come into Ghana and make its own deal. They have to go through that board, which again stops smuggling. So it's a framework that can be improved upon. So I believe it's a step in the right direction, but everyone has their own opinion. And I'll play the video.
Shifting focus to Ghana in West Africa, where gold isn't just a commodity anymore. It's a strategic tool to defend the national currency. Ghana, which is Africa's top gold producer, is rolling out an ambitious gold purchase program. aimed at shoring up its foreign reserves and stabilizing the Ghanaian cedi. The government has just signed a new deal with 9 additional mining companies, requiring them to sell 20% of their gold output to the state. This builds on a 2022 agreement with other industry giants. And under that deal, companies began selling a fifth of their annual production to the Bank of Ghana, settled not in dollars but in local currency. Ghana heavily relies on imports, which requires a steady supply of foreign reserves to support its economy. So, by purchasing gold in local currency, the government aims to reduce pressure on cedi by lowering the demand for foreign exchange and boosting Ghana's gold reserves. And seems like the plan has been working. Since launching the initiative, Ghana's gold reserves have risen sharply from just 8.7 metric tons in 2022 to more than 30 metric tons today. That's helped push the country's gross reserves to 9.4 billion US dollars. However, the latest deal also brings smaller and mid-tier producers into the fold. Together, these 9 new companies are expected to deliver roughly 200 kilograms of gold every month. But there's also a bigger play here, and that is fighting smuggling. The state-backed body Gold Board, which oversees the program, says formalizing gold purchases from smaller miners will help clamp down on illegal exports and boost local earnings in the sector. With gold prices soaring nearly 30% this year, driven by global uncertainty, geopolitical tensions, and the lingering effects of US tariffs, Ghana is betting big on the metal. It's a deliberate strategy to use gold as a currency shield, easing pressure on the Ghanaian cedi and reducing dependence on foreign currencies. Now, with this, Ghana is reinforcing its economic defenses amid turbulent global markets. It's a gold strategy not just for trade, but for national stability.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
Again, this is going to strengthen their currency, and it's going to allow them to gain enough money to build up their own infrastructure.
The influence of Burkina Faso under the administration or the government of Captain Ibrahim Traoré is very obvious, as neighboring countries within the Sahel and outside of the Sahel in West Africa have now embarked on increasing their gold stakes, those who have gold building refineries, and also, increasing their gold stake and having more national reserves in gold. About who am I talking about? I am talking about Ghana. Ghana recently, the government institution Gold Board it's a government entity. So what it did is actually this government institution, it has reached a deal with 9 additional large-scale mining companies to purchase 20% of their gold output. That is the gold that they are sending for export. So this will increase the nation's gold and foreign reserves under the Bank of Ghana domestic gold purchase program. Gold Board is a government entity responsible for managing gold purchases from small-scale miners and combating and smuggling. The other country that's getting this heat or this positive influence from Burkina Faso is Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau also have a military government like Burkina Faso, but it did not join the Sahel states. We all have been expecting, because it also came through it, the same way these governments came to power. But anyway, now General Doumbouya, who is the president of Guinea-Bissau, is overseeing 20 billion Simandu mining projects. Now let's dive into Ghana. Ghana, as you know, it's a top gold exporter in Africa, the largest one. It's the first one if you put it by rank, and it has 6th place it ranks 6 globally in terms of having exporting gold. Ghana's another name is actually it used to be called by the colonizers the Gold Coast. That's its name. Now, getting into this news about the government buying or reaching an agreement with these 9 gold miners is something that is really commendable. And just for you to remind you, this happened under the leadership of the current president, John Mahama. John Mahama is really a progressive leader, and he kind of make it smooth. Unlike Nana Akufo-Addo, he invited the Sahel leaders to attend his inauguration. He officially resumed office in January, on 7th of January. So Captain Ibrahim Traore has attended that inauguration. Now, just to continue with the news, look, this latest deal includes mining companies that were not part of the central bank's initial scheme. The new participants include, these are the names of the miners: Adamus Resources, Akroma Gold, Cardinal Namdini Mining, Earl International Group, Ganhe Mining Resource Development, Golden Team Mining, Goldstone, Akrokeri, Priest.
All right, for the sake of time, you can watch the rest of that video. I put the video in the chat, and all links are in the description. Ghana has established a great economic initiative by nationalizing gold, because Gold Bod, this administration and government body, is the only entity that can finalize or legitimize gold purchases. This also stops smuggling. This also helps strengthen the cedi, the Ghanaian currency, because they are only settling purchases through the central bank in that currency. And this initiative also deters foreign entities and locals from looting gold. In addition, this will allow them to deliberate and dictate which foreign entities will have access to their gold. More importantly, as the price of gold rises daily, now is time more than ever to make policies that garner more revenue for their gold, and to set up a framework that can be improved upon once said transactions are done, and they could, see what is working and what's not working, and especially as they garner more money from their output. Next story. Tanzania bans use of US dollars, other foreign currencies for local transactions. The article is in the chat, and let's read it. Tanzania bans use of US dollars, other foreign currencies for local transactions. The Bank of Tanzania has officially banned the use of foreign currencies, including the US dollar, for all local transactions payments within the country. The new foreign exchange regulations, published in Government Gazette March 28, 2025, aim to stop the ongoing depreciation of the Tanzania shilling. All goods and services in Tanzania must now be priced and paid for strictly in Tanzania shillings. Under these regulations, pricing and payment for all goods and services within the country must be in Tanzania shillings. Therefore, it is an offense to quote, advertise, or indicate prices in foreign currency, to compel, facilitate, or accept payment in foreign currency, or to refuse payment made in Tanzania shillings. The notice, signed by the Bank of Tanzania Governor Emmanuel Tutuba, clarified that while certain transactions involving foreign currency are still allowed under the new rules, a time limit will apply to contracts already executed in foreign currency. Foreigners, including tourists, are required to exchange foreign currency through commercial banks or the Bureau de Change in Tanzania. They may also continue making payments using bank cards or other digital payment methods, the Bank of Tanzania added.
The US dollar is now starting to be banned in certain countries. Now, this means in these specific countries, you cannot use US dollars anymore. They will look at that currency and it is not a valid currency. It will be the equivalent of trying to buy things with monopoly money. And they say the reason they're doing this is because they'd like to break away from the US dollar and have their own currency more valuable.
In a seismic shift that has sent shockwaves through the corridors of global power, Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan has taken a courageous and revolutionary step, banning the use of the US dollar and other foreign currencies for domestic transactions effective July 1st, 2024. This audacious move places her firmly in the ranks of Africa's boldest and most visionary leaders, alongside Burkina Faso's Captain Ibrahim Traoré and Namibia's newly inaugurated President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. Together, these three lions of African sovereignty are rewriting the continent's economic and political narrative, striking a resounding blow against the shackles of neocolonialism and Western economic hegemony. Their actions signal a new era of African self-determination, one that prioritizes the dignity and prosperity of their people over the interests of foreign powers. President Samia Suluhu Hassan's decision to ban the US dollar in domestic transactions is nothing short of a declaration of economic independence. By mandating the use of the Tanzanian shilling, TZS, for all local commerce, her administration aims to dismantle the corrosive effects of dollarization, which has long undermined Tanzania's monetary sovereignty. Dollarization, a legacy of Western economic dominance, has weakened local currencies across Africa, eroded confidence in national economies, and fueled inflation and dependency on foreign financial systems. By outlawing this practice, Samia is reclaiming control over Tanzania's economic destiny, ensuring that the wealth generated within its borders circulates in its own currency, strengthening local markets and empowering Tanzanian businesses and citizens. This policy is a direct challenge to the United States and its economic stranglehold on the global South. While these sentiments reflect the growing Pan-Africanist fervor, the reality is even more profound. By prioritizing the Tanzanian shilling, Samia is not only bolstering her nation's economy, but also sending a clear message to the world. Africa will no longer be a playground for Western financial manipulation. This is a slap in the face to the likes of Donald Trump, whose administration's aggressive trade policies and tariffs have sought to tighten America's grip on African economies. Samia's policy is a defiant rebuke, asserting that Tanzania will chart its own course, free from the dictates of Washington. The timing of Samia's bold move is no coincidence. Just weeks ago, on March 21st, 2025, she attended the historic inauguration of Namibia's first female president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, in Windhoek. The event, which coincided with Namibia's 35th independence anniversary, was attended by a constellation of African leaders. Amid the pomp and ceremony, whispers of a private meeting between Samia and Nandi-Ndaitwah have fueled speculation of a strategic alliance. Sources close to the Tanzanian presidency suggest that the two leaders, both trailblazers in their own right, held a candid discussion about the urgent need for African nations to break free from Western economic and political influence. This clandestine conversation appears to have galvanized Samia's resolve. Inspired by Nandi-Ndaitwah's fearless leadership and her unapologetic stance against historical injustices, Samia returned to Dar es Salaam with a renewed sense of purpose. The ban on the U-scaled formatting, the resulting output is too large to be processed in a single go. I'll need to break it down into manageable parts. Namibia's President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, sworn in on March 21st, 2025, has wasted no time in proving herself a formidable force. Dubbed the Lioness of the Kalahari, Nandine Ndaitwah has taken bold steps to assert Namibia's sovereignty and position it as a key player in the global energy market. One of her most significant moves has been the restructuring of the country's oil and gas sector, placing it under direct presidential oversight. This reorganization, prompted by increasing and co-founded the Alliance of Sahel States, a regional bloc that rejects Western interference. His outspoken criticism of Western hypocrisy, particularly
Africa is powerful, usually brings out long videos that gives you an overview of everything that's happening, but you could watch it on your own time because, again, I want to respect people's time. So, yes, this is basically de-dollarization in a nutshell. Tanzania has started the process of de-dollarization for the economic benefit of their own currency. Tanzania is taking a direct approach by banning the dollar in order to strengthen the Tanzania shilling. I believe more African countries will do this in order to help foster economic progression. And as you know, the U.S. is standing as the world's global reserve currency is in jeopardy as gold is going up. That will be something interesting to watch and to pay attention to. This story is wild. I mean, what's going on in Kenya is not funny, but Ruto gets. Let me get to this article. I'm sorry. William Ruto is like one of the most corrupt African leaders in African leader history. Okay, I put the article in the chat, and it says Kenya government condemns shameful shoe hurling at president. The Kenyan government has described as shameful an incident in which a shoe was thrown at President William Ruto during a rally on Sunday. Widely shared video clips show the footwear striking the president's left arm as he held it aloft while speaking. Government spokesman Isaac Muwara condemned what happened and called those behind it to be apprehended. What would happen if we all decided to throw shoes at each other? What values are we teaching our children? He asked in post on X, calling for the institution of the presidency to be respected, while the view of some ordinary Kenyans chime with the feeling that the shoe throwing was disrespectful. Others have suggested that it reflected frustrations over the state of the economy. Kenyan media are reporting that 3 people have been arrested, but the police have not confirmed this. Man. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not right or wrong, but if the video doesn't give a good overview, I'll give a quick overview. Especially if you all were watching the show last year, what's happening in Kenya is, unfortunate. William Ruto's administration had blocked. Well, not what am I saying? Not had blocked. William Ruto's administration has been found out to be getting advised by the IMF, and the IMF brought out this finance bill that Ruto proposed to the Kenyan government, and it basically would increase taxes on a lot of different items and different things that Kenyans already struggle to pay. Kenyans already in huge insurmountable debt already. So taxing your population who's already, in economic squalor really is a slap to the face. And, people weren't having it. And then people, I believe it was in June, summertime last year, there was, mass protests. And, the protests, showed and displayed a lot of Kenyan youth exposing the conditions in Kenya, and William Ruto's administration were silencing protests. Also, it was found out at these protests that people were being deleted and shot. Some people were reporting that their loved ones were being abducted and were missing. And, later on, Ruto had to admit that some of those claims were not false. And, the administration as a whole has done a lot of crazy things. Ruto also impeached his vice president, and putting all the blame and all the tension on, and all the, upheaval, he was blaming it on the vice president. So there's just a lot of lack of accountability and just a lot of incompetence on Ruto's part. So, I see why someone would want to throw a shoe at him. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but, people are frustrated.
Hello and welcome. Our top focus comes in from the East African nation of Kenya, where President William Ruto's public address took an unexpected turn in what...
Autobot, I see what you did there. Well, I can smell a coup coming to Kenya just like that. Ruto smelt that gentleman's shoe when it was flung at him.
Can be called a surprise shoe down. Ruto was on a tour of Migori County in Western Kenya, a trip meant to launch new government projects. But while speaking about the cost of living, a shoe was hurled at him from the crowd. The 5-second clip has since gone viral on social media, showing the shoe hitting Ruto's arm amid speech. Now, his security team rushed to shield him, but the shoe had already made contact. The Kenyan government has called the incident shameful. Now, reports say that 3 people have been arrested, with police suspecting the incident being politically motivated. Authorities are reportedly pursuing more suspects. This chaos unfolded in Kenya's Migori County, a traditional stronghold of the opposition, led by the veteran politician Raila Odinga. Now, Odinga has contested and lost Kenya's presidency 5 times, most recently to Ruto in the 2022 elections. After massive tax reform protests last year, Ruto's government came under increasing public pressure. The bill, pushed by Ruto himself, included taxes on essential items like bread, cooking oil, and sugar. The goal was to raise revenue and to pay off national debt. But the move backfired, sparking violent protests that left at least 60 people dead. This, according to rights groups. In the aftermath, Ruto's government entered a political cooperation deal with the opposition leader Odinga, a move that was seen as an effort to ease political tensions.
We undertake this commitment with the understanding that while our political parties may differ in strategy, we share a common goal: to build a united, secure, and prosperous Kenya under a government that is capable, committed, and willing to ensure abundance and opportunity for all, without exception.
Experts say that this move is a tactic by Ruto to salvage his struggling regime. Since taking office in 2022, Ruto has faced growing discontent as taxes rise, inflation spikes, and living costs soar. During his latest rally in Migori, he launched a 298-unit affordable housing project in Kehancha And this visit was seen as a strategic move to woo voters in a region that overwhelmingly voted against him in elections. The shoe throwing may have missed its mark in causing harm, but it landed hard enough to reflect the anger simmering against the president. Now, for more on this, we have with us Stella Agara, a governance and security analyst who is joining us live from Nairobi. Thank you for being with us, Stella.
Thank you for having me.
Stella, how does the recent incident in Kahancha, where President Ruto was attacked with a shoe, reflect the broader public sentiment toward his administration, especially in historically supportive regions like Western Kenya?
Indeed, it's quite, what should I call it? It's quite a message to the president. There are a number of platforms that the citizens of Kenya have tried to use to explain to him what they don't like about his policies, what they don't like about his presidency, but for some reason he's not listening to Kenyans. And I can see how desperate citizens are becoming because now they're resorting to actions like throwing shoes at him. Let it be noted very early in this interview that I am not in support of any form of violence. Indeed, I believe in very peaceful negotiation and addressing of issues. However, we cannot ignore the motivating factors behind throwing shoes. It's not every president in the world who gets a shoe hurled at them. There are a few examples, like President Bush getting a shoe hurled at him. In this particular venue where the President Ruto was, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta also got a shoe hurled at him. So it's not the first time a shoe is being hurled at a president in that area. And so this is the second time it's happening, but it's the first time it's happening to Ruto in this entire nation. The fact that this is happening in an area that was prior to this very supportive of his candidature, it's basically just saying that he's losing favor with every single day that goes, especially because he has refused to listen to the citizens, he's refused to understand the language of the citizens, and he's refused to accommodate the thinking of the citizens, especially on things that are extremely, extremely critical to Kenyans at this point.
Right. And what are the main economic policies introduced by President Ruto's government since 2022 that have contributed to rising public discontent over taxation and, of course, the rising cost of living?
There are a number of policies that he has introduced that citizens have been very unhappy about. Alison, you will remember in the conversations we've had on this platform since last year during the conversations on taxation, there are certain things that Kenyans were not happy about on the tax bill. We are now in another season of discussing the finance bill, and we are yet to get into the details of what is going to be coming out of that. But at least on the record, he has a fixation with creating new projects, branding new projects that then he will call his own. On the list of that includes the new social health insurance fund that Kenyans have been complaining about tremendously. There's the affordable housing fund and project that he has been doing, and this is the reason why he traveled to Kahancha in the first place, to go and launch some of those houses. And then, of course, there's the fact that he's just fixated in creating new projects. There's also should I call it blindness or deafness towards the citizens' call? He's tone deaf for some reason. He doesn't listen to what the citizens have to say. But Alison, it's less about his policies than the policies than it is about how he is running government. And so one of the issues that is on top of the list of Kenyans' voices everywhere is runaway corruption, and the fact that it has increased in his government. It is so obvious, it is so bold, and there's very few people who actually are held accountable for corruption. There's the issues of integrity and people not actually maintaining a level of integrity in how they communicate, what they promise, the deliverables they promise, and when they deliver them. There's the lies and unfulfilled promises, and this one is also a personal grievance with him, that he has been known to tell lies. He has been known to launch projects that will only take off the minute he's on the ground. As soon as he leaves, none of those projects are working. He has been known to tell stories about things that will not happen, and unfortunately, this is making citizens extremely disgruntled. Then there's a question of the deaths, Alison, and I think this is the biggest factor. that is causing everyone to be extremely disgruntled with him. The fact that he refuses to acknowledge and genuinely apologize for the deaths that have happened, and of course to take action to hold people accountable for some of the deaths that happened during the protest last year and during the course of his term. This is one of the things that is grieving every citizen in Kenya, that they are so fed up, none of them is actually willing to listen to anything he has to say.
Right. And Stella, how might this growing hostility toward the Ruto administration affect Kenya's political stability ahead of the next election cycle? And what role
you
could
can
the
watch the rest of the
opposition...
video because I'm not talking about really the political implications. It looks like Kenyans are putting their foot down.
In a jaw-dropping moment, on May 4th, 2025, President William Ruto was hit by a shoe thrown from the crowd during a speech in
I'm sorry, that's hilarious, Otto, but he knows how it feels when the shoe is on the other foot. Oh, man. I mean, like, this is a serious... I mean, like, sometimes it's okay to laugh. I mean, we all know how serious the world is and everything is going on, but I'm sorry, the jokes write themselves and the puns are but let me keep on going with this video.
Town, Migori County. What led to this shocking act, and what does it mean for Kenya's political landscape? It was supposed to be a routine stop on President William Ruto's 3-day development tour in Migori County. On Sunday, he was in Kehancha town, launching a 298-unit affordable housing project aimed at transforming lives in Kuria West. But just minutes into his speech, chaos erupted. An unidentified person in the crowd hurled a shoe toward the president, striking him as he spoke about lowering the cost of living.
Tupunguze gharama. Ngojea. Tulisema tupunguze gharama ya mbolea.
Has long been a tough region for Ruto. Was this a planned protest or a spontaneous act? Let's dig deeper. To understand this incident, we need to zoom out. Migori County lies in Kenya's Nyanza region, a historical opposition stronghold. Ruto's visits here have been met with resistance. In 2021, his motorcade was pelted with stones in Kisumu, and now a shoe in Kehancha. Is this a pattern? Social media, especially X, exploded after the incident. Some users called the shoe throwing a bold protest against unfulfilled promises, while others slammed it as disrespectful. One post read, "This is how we show we are fed up." Another said violence isn't the answer. The divide is clear. Ruto's tour is part of a broader push to win over Nyanza voters before the 2027 elections. He has launched projects like the Kegonga Water Project and inspected markets and schools. But with incidents like this, is his strategy working?
Kwa hivyo watu wa press msiende kutangaza yenu, ile imefanyika hapa wanataka
All right. So basically, Kenya is fed up because President Ruto is not footing the bill on his promises. And Ruto hasn't helped the people of Kenya economically progress, and people are fed up with empty promises. The cost of living has been abysmal, and the measures taken to alleviate it have failed. The finance bill, which was recommended by the IMF, would put more economic burden on the Kenyan people. In addition, under his administration, the police have been accused of abducting and deleting citizens in opposition of the finance bill last summer. So basically, this is what is the result of frustration, and we will see if things heat up in Kenya, as Brother Autobot said. No, not that comment. He said that there could be a coup coming in Kenya, or there could be some treacherous things going on that could be coming afoot. But again, I just wanted to show you that things are shifting and people are tired and frustrated, and especially don't think that's by accident, as Burkina Faso is on everyone's radar, and Burkina Faso is the talk of Africa. And you have people like Ruto coming to give speeches on empty promises, while people see the progress in Burkina Faso and see how Ibrahim Traore is helping his people, and they obviously wish they had a leader like that. Okay, next story: racial laws driving investors out of South Africa party. And the link is in the chat. And the article states, the DA federal chairperson Helen Zille claims investors told them that the government policies, including the Employment Equity Act, were driving them away from investing in the economy. According to Zille, the unemployment rate contributed to investors taking their money elsewhere. She blamed this on the government, saying it was because of its failed policies that discouraged growth. The party argued the act threatens fair access to jobs and economic growth. Jobs are created by companies that invest in South Africa. The draconian labor regime created by the Employment Equity Amendment Act will continue to drive away investment and predictably increases unemployment. The DA argues that the act would reduce people to statistics, ignoring talents. Companies and potential investors have repeatedly cited these social engineering laws as major barriers to investment and growth. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the rhetoric. It is completely senseless to knowingly intensify a discriminatory regime that has already failed so spectacularly to empower economically marginalized people. Section 15A outlines affirmative action measures which intended to ensure that suitability qualified employees from designated groups have an equal employment opportunities and are equitably represented in occupational levels of workforce. So basically, if you were paying attention to what's going on in South Africa, the government is progressively trying to right the wrongs of apartheid and put in legislation that will help balance and, help, again, benefit the marginalized population, who happens to be the majority in South Africa, who have, endured, colonialism that has left a lot of them in economic upheaval, and, as them, they've lost land. Black farmers have lost land. Black farmers, have, also haven't been able to have a sustainable lifestyle with their farming. And again, 90% of the land in South Africa is owned by the white farmers and other white landowners. And some of those lands have been underdeveloped or haven't been used at all. And then now this law is being challenged because the other, parties who is being represented by the minority believes that this law is the reason why South Africa's economy is suffering. But let me get to the video to explain it better.
The Democratic Alliance is challenging the Employment Equity Amendment Act at the High Court in Pretoria today. Let's cross over to that and listen in.
Implemented in a manner which amounted to job reservation and quotas, because if it was, it would fall foul of what the Constitution requires. We are not at that stage for the reasons I've explained. We are at the anterior stage. We're looking at this without reference to any particular complainant before you. The court appreciates that. So we are looking at it from a, maybe called an abstract challenge. But there's nothing wrong in doing that, because if the legislation is of the sort we say it is, then it falls foul of the Constitution. Not because of its application, but of its conception. Now, that is dealt with, milady. That conceptual issue in paragraph 54 of Barnard, and I asked the court to go there. Where the court deals with this very question of what is not permitted, apart from the facts, what is not permitted in terms of legislation, and the court says the following. Let it suffice to observe, that is in paragraph 54 toward the end of the passage, milady, if you have that. Let it suffice to observe that the primary distinction between numerical targets and quotas lies in the flexibility of the standard. Quotas amount to job reservation and are properly prohibited by section 15.3 of the Act. You'll remember I took you to that this morning, milady. This Act itself in 15.3 prohibits quotas. It says you can have goals but not quotas. And that's what the court is referring to. Are properly prohibited by section 53. The same section endorses numerical goals in pursuit of workplace representativity and equity. They serve as a flexible employment guideline. And I ask the court to emphasize and perhaps underline, if you could, milady, the word guideline. Because this is the pre-amendment landscape of what the Act allowed and required. The goals which an employer was supposed to set in its equity plan, which I've explained came from consultation, etc., were flexible enough. They served as guidelines that the employer would try to achieve within the realm of its operating circumstances, its employees, their makeup, because remember, the requirement is suitably qualified, not anyone. We're talking about substantive equality, not just window dressing. We're not looking, the Act doesn't see window dressing, just that we tick the numbers. It's not a number ticking exercise or box ticking exercise. It's substantive equality. So the people must be able to do the job who are appointed. And it's in that context we say that the Constitutional Court characterizes the Act as this is the requirement. It's a guideline. What we now have with the amendments is it's crossed over. It's no longer a guideline, as I've been at pains to emphasize. It's now clear these are targets that must be met. If these targets are not met, one, no work from the state. Across the board, national, provincial, municipal. Two, if you don't meet these targets, you are in breach. Three, if you don't remedy it, you can be fined. Now, to meet these targets, milady, if you are an employer, what do you have to do? It may be necessary, milady, to meet the target that you may have to get rid of people. You may have to fire people because they're the wrong color, they're the wrong group. You may have excellent, you may have a workforce which is broadly representative, milady. There may be some specific aspects in terms of which it doesn't meet the particular targets, but that they would be broadly representative of the South African community or the South African population, but they would not meet the minister's targets. And that would be in breach, milady. The minister could then find you in breach. And once again, this is all Milady, in terms of legislative powers that are given in the broadest and vaguest of terms. And we've emphasized it's not. The strictures within which the minister must operate are not laid down in the Act. And that, of course, as repeated, I'm not going to take you specifically to that, is a breach of the requirements laid out in the Darwin judgment, which we referred to in our heads. In Barnard, Milady, the court expressly finds in para 66 of the judgment, this is the majority of the court, Milady,
All right, that was the proceeding of the court, and this is the woman who is making the accusations.
Watching news at Prime, let's bring you this. The Democratic Alliance says its bid to legally challenge the Employment Equity Amendment Act is aimed at reversing the negative impact of what it calls a failed experiment. The party is tomorrow challenging the constitutionality of quotas in the Pretoria High Court, which gives the Labour Minister authority to put targets on 18 economic sectors. This is the second time the partner in the Government of National Unity is heading to court in recent weeks. Here's Newsroom Africa's Ziana Noble with that report.
The DA says the Employment Equity Amendment Act will add even more draconian restrictions on employers, which amount to quotas and will lead to further disinvestment in South Africa and job losses. It says while the Constitution allows for fair discrimination as a means to undo the injustices of the past, this part of the legislation is the antithesis of bringing about transformation.
Section 9(2) says there is such a thing as fair discrimination to redress the legacy of the past. But that is not a blunt instrument. Any discrimination that is deemed to be fair has to be proved to be fair. You can't just do anything in the name of redress and claim it is fair discrimination. There's a benchmark that has to be reached to qualify as fair discrimination under Section 9.2. And this Act fails that benchmark test 100%, we believe. And that is the primary constitutional argument that we will be making in court.
The DA was questioned about the creation of a black middle class which never existed before, and this has been attributed to the implementation of employment equity laws. The party says, while this may be true, the unintended consequences have been the creation of an incapable state.
But what we've built is a huge middle class through state preferencing, and in some cases, not in all cases, but in some cases, it has effectively not led to the capable state, which is absolutely imperative for a successful economy. You have to have a capable state working under the rule of law and creating policies that attract investment to have a growing economy. So what we've got is a middle class created by state preferencing. And don't for 1 minute suggest that state capture was something different from the employment equity laws. As Zondo himself pointed out, state capture was the direct result of these laws.
Zilla says she's not concerned about the possible fallout that this latest court challenge will cause with the ANC and other GNU partners. This comes as the party has consistently been accused of being against transformation, including from President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Our benchmark is not whether we annoy people. We don't really mind annoying people. If you mind annoying people, you really mustn't be in politics. If you want to win an election, you've got to win an argument. If you want to win an argument, you've got to start an argument.
The DA will also argue that the Act, which is yet to come into effect after being assented during the 6th Parliament, takes away the discretion of employers to look at geographical, contextual, and other factors
Here, I have a solution. If you don't like it, just leave South Africa. I mean, you are claiming that, this law is causing investors to miss out or causing you to miss out with investors. So, but, why does the South African government and the majority that is in representation of South Africa, why do they have to, you know, acquiesce or, again, acquiesce, or why do they have to be beholden to what other investors think about their own laws and sovereignty? I mean, it's at their discretion to, create laws that help, progress the nation as a whole. And, again, the majority in South Africa have been, enduring economic warfare and colonialism. So again, if your majority is in economic, you know, in an economic struggle, you would do something to help them. You don't, keep the status quo because some people who are the minority aren't reaping the benefits of, past history. That's what it seems like they're arguing. That, oh, it's not fair because this is causing things to change, and we don't like change. We want things to continue. It's like they want to continue the past and not progress themselves. But again, this is where this is where South Africa will have tensions, within its borders if they continue to have this, clashing of what's more important, the rights of the majority or the privileges of the minority. It's pretty simple. Believe that this development will come down to the right of the majority more important than discrepancies of the minority that have held the most wealth in the country. Again, they are losing the wealth they once had, and obviously they're trying to use other arguments to make it seem more eloquent, but that's what it comes down to. They are losing their standing in South Africa, and they don't think it's fair. All right, next and final story. 4 African countries added to US travel warning list in April, but I'm specifically focusing on Ghana. And the article reads, the US State Department in April issued updated travel warnings for Ghana, Burkina Faso, Morocco, and Uganda, urging US citizens to exercise caution or avoid travel altogether. The updated advisories cite a range of concerns, including terrorism, violent crime, and discriminatory laws, reflecting heightened concerns over safety, security in the affected countries. Ghana was the first to be listed on the advisory April 8th with a level 2 advisory, which encourages travelers to exercise increased caution.
Breaking news. The United States of America has issued a travel ban to all its citizens looking to travel to Ghana. They say Ghana is a very dangerous place. People get raped, people get unalive. Please do not go to Ghana, or do it very cautiously. Why is that? Number one, Ghana has issued a ban on all foreign nationals from trading, refining, buying, or reselling gold. It is establishing an internal
Bingo. That in and of it, that's basically why it's being banned. All those aforementioned things I said in the article really have nothing to do with it, because they've allowed people to travel to different countries that have had all those things that they were warning people about. But you see, now it is basically hostile, or you'll be seen as hostile if you nationalize your currency and your resources. But, you see the pattern.
Entity from which every foreigner has to buy, and by doing so, regaining its sovereignty. Number 2, Ghana has recalled a portion of its gold reserve stored in the United States of America since its independence, talking about sovereignty and control. And all of a sudden, America says, travel ban. Be careful when you go to Ghana. We're going to find out about that.
Sister Cami has it right. They have some gold over there that doesn't belong to them.
What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by, but it is cold, as you can see. It's winter time. Yeah, but it's a bit of a weird one, like sometimes it's extremely cold, then it gets warmer. Like it was very cold earlier in the morning, and I got all these bandana or whatever you call it, beanie, and now it's getting kind of warm, but I don't want to change because I feel like I'm being tricked. If I remove this, then it gets cold. You know what I mean? Let me I'm going to deal with it. How you doing today? Thank you very much for stopping by. I know you don't know me. I don't know who you are. My name is Zach. Thank you very much for stopping. You surely stopped because you think I look like your cousin. Yeah, you look like mine too. So welcome to the club. First thing first, click on the button. It's called subscribe. You're surely going to trust me. You watch this video till the end, we're going to like each other. Click on the button, subscribe. Let's do this. Let's go. You want to know about the family? You want to know about Africa, the motherland? You're in the right place. Oh, we want you here. We do want you here. We like you. We appreciate you. Is it done? Let's go. Something drastic is happening in Ghana, fellas. So the United States of America is not happy. They've issued a travel ban. The travel ban, I'm not going to read everything, just a little bit. It says, exercise increased caution in Ghana due to crime and violence against women travelers. Less, and good, and all that kind of, what I'm trying to say. So they say in Ghana, violent crimes such as hijacking, street mugging, assault, rape do occur. These crimes often happen at night in isolated location and blah, blah, blah. Long list, all of a sudden. We wonder about the timing of this release. Have you discovered that these things happen only today, if they do happen? Crazy stuff. Anyway, let's try to find out what could be the reason why this has occurred. If not, coincidentally, a few things have occurred. We're going to break this into small parts so we can all understand. I know some of you here are very, very smart, very fast. Well, not everybody's very fast. So exercise patience. Many people out here that come here for this very same reason, because we can break things down for everybody to understand. So number one, what has occurred in Ghana? What's changed? Ghana has voted a brand new law banning all foreigners from trading in its local gold market. How is that possible? Because Ghana has a lot of gold. Yes, let's continue. The law establishes that Ghana Gold Board or Gold Board as a sole authority to buying, selling, refining, and exporting gold from artisanal and small-scale mining sector. So they're creating a board called Ghana Gold Board. They're going to be the sole buying, selling, refining, and exporting gold. This is a change from what? From what happened in the past. In the past, people used to come. Anybody will come, purchase gold from artisanal miners, buying, refining, reselling without necessarily going through the big processes. The second point we're going to tackle is the fact that Ghana has recalled its gold. We're going to find out why. Let's stay on the first one. This law is effective as of May 1st. So from May 1st, no more. It's done. And for the people that have got a license that are still current, they have a time frame and deadline to April 30th. That's going to be the last time. Now, what is the goal of this move? The move is aimed at boosting national revenue, curbing smuggling, and increasing government control over the gold chain value. Let me break it down for all of us, okay? So Ghana has a lot of gold, okay? They have plenty of it. The Ashanti people, these people right here, look how much gold. All of the stuff they're wearing, this is pure gold, my brother. This is Ghana for you. Anyway, the rest of the world knows about it. However, Ghana for many years have been very complacent, not strict rules, meaning you could go to Ghana, and find an artisanal miner and buy gold as much as you possibly can. You can buy gold, a lot of gold, then go sell at a very big price after you've bought at a very cheap price. Now, by doing so, you are taking revenue from the government because people are smuggling gold in neighboring countries. So you're not going through the big processes The government is not getting the revenue and the tax associated with the exportation. Also, the government is not getting foreign exchange, which is external money. We'll get into that just now. We understand? Great stuff. Let's continue. So from now on, Ghana Gold Board, a new state-owned entity, is a sole authority to buying, selling, refining, and exporting gold from artisanal to small-scale mining. So what's changed now? All these people that used to come to Ghana to buy gold from small, all these people next to the corner. Ghana, there's so much gold, you can just go in the river and find gold. And if you're a poor guy from the village, you just need some money. So you're going to find a Chinese dude in a corner buying gold at a very cheap price. Let's say your gold's real value is $10,000. He just gives you about $1,000. I mean, you're a villager. You're in need. You're like, this is the only guy I got right here. Let me just give it to him. That's over. From now on, foreigners cannot go buy gold from individuals anymore. They have to go buy gold from Ghana Gold Board. So Ghana Gold Board will now buy gold from people, keep it together, then sell it to foreigners that come into the country. And you can understand why people are angry about this, because many countries, many people from different nationality used to go to Ghana, sending individuals to go buy from individuals and get gold at a very cheap price. So they've literally broken that market. Number two, the law also bans foreigners from trading in local gold markets, effectively giving Gold Board a monopoly over the local gold trade. Foreigners are still allowed to purchase gold from Gold Board, but they are no longer allowed to operate within the local gold value chain. Number three. Now, Ghana comes up with a brand new licensing regime. So all the license that was issued in the past, over. You need to come again, get the brand new license from Ghana Gold Board. The mandatory licensing regime is established for all businesses involved in gold trading and marketing industry, with Gold Board overseeing the licensing processes. Operating without a license is an offense and carries penalties. So many Chinese and other nationals, including Americans, have gone to Ghana, to do business. Well, within that business frame that is not necessarily gold related, they've purchased a lot of gold. So now that poses a problem because you don't have a license, number one. Number two, you're not registered. So number three, you can't be tracked. Number four, you don't pay the tax. Number five, you can smuggle the gold out and make the profit. Number six, the government doesn't get foreign exchange. We'll get to that. So what are the goals of the reform? Why is Ghana doing this today? Okay, the reforms are aimed at boosting foreign exchange reserve, stabilizing local currency, curbing gold smuggling, and ensuring that the country benefits from its gold resources. Now, let's break this down. They say number one is boosting foreign exchange reserve. What is foreign exchange reserve? Foreign exchange reserve is basically money a country keeps. What kind of money? Foreign money, like dollars, euro, and pounds. Why do a country need foreign exchange reserve? It's very necessary because a country sometimes need to trade. You need to buy things from another country. You need to import technology. You need to import medicine. You need to import construction things. Well, when you want to buy something, let's say from Morocco, you're not going to pay with your Ghana cedis. No, you have to pay in dollars. Unfortunately, that's the rule of the world. I still promise you, I'm going to make you a video about currency, the origin of money. We're going to get into that. If you still want that, please let me know. Make us a video about paper currency. Let's continue. So foreign exchange is necessary if a country needs to buy goods from another country. They use foreign exchange. So how do they get foreign exchange? One of the ways they get foreign exchange is from other countries coming to your country, buying things using dollars, pound, and euro. That's how the country get foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is very necessary for cooperation, for business, for many other things. So a country does need, in place of its own currency, foreign exchange. What are the impacts of the new law? The new law has been met with mixed reactions. While some support the move to increase government control and boost national revenues, others, including some investors and small-scale miners, have expressed concern over the potential negative impact on the gold industry. Clearly, thieves are very angry. The people that used to come to Ghana and get things for free or very close to for free. You know what I mean? Now you have institutions where you have to go through processes. It becomes difficult. They don't like that. They like it when they come to the country. They can call a guy in the corner, hey, we're looking for gold. Do you know? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know. Let's go. They go to the corner. They say, okay, we see this. This is $10,000. Hey, we only have 900. This is not good quality. and the villager who doesn't understand will sell it to you. So they hate it that now you have to go through a board that's represented by Ghana, where you have to pay at actual price. They don't like that. Ghana's repatriating its gold reserve. Yes, fellas, Ghana's gold from America in New York is coming back to Ghana. Some of it have come back already, a big chunk of it. In a move to safeguard against economic volatility, Ghana has repatriated a portion of its gold reserve from the United States of America. This decision reflects a strategic shift to reduce dependence on foreign custodianship and mitigate risk associated with potential economic instability in the U.S. So, the president of Ghana, they have a brand new president, this man right here, wants Ghana's gold back from America, back home. Ghana repatriating its gold is clearly a desire of economic sovereignty and wanting to keep its own things within itself. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why is Ghana gold in America in the first place? Well, there are many countries that have their gold stored in the United States of America. Yes, fellas, this is crazy stuff. African countries have been sending gold reserved to the United States of America for a long time. Let's find out. The practice began in post-independence decade in 1960 as newly independent African nations joined global financial institutions like IMF and World Bank. Many followed the institutional norm of placing reserve in trusted financial centers for liquidity, security, and international credibility. Countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa participated in these arrangements, although in varying degrees. So, many African nations were told by IMF and World Bank, listen, for credibility purpose, you need to send your gold somewhere that is renowned and recognized. The United States of America, in New York. Number two, for foreign trade, it's very easy for liquidity. You know, we're going to get into that. This is finance, where it's not very complicated, but we're going to break it down for you until everybody understands. So basically, you're going to keep your gold in America. For what? For security. Okay, because your country is unstable, somebody could come and do a coup d'etat and steal everything and disappear. So, in order for you to avoid that, you need to place it in America where it's secure. Number two, for trade, you can exchange or buy goods not using currency but using gold. Number one, security and political stability. The US was seen as a safe and stable country, especially during the Cold War when political instability was common in many African countries. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York offered secure vaults that protected gold from war, theft, and local economic collapse. Number two, financial trust and integration. Holding gold in New York allowed countries to gain trust and credibility in international markets. And in order to participate, in transactions and deals with IMF, sometimes they didn't force people, but they made you feel like it was good for you to have your gold stored in America. Why are countries repatriating their gold? It's very simple. Look at what happened recently with Russia. Russia has lost $200 billion in reserve in foreign nations. Russia stores some of its reserve in America, in the UK, in France, in Japan, in Italy. So, if something happened to Russia in the past, why wouldn't it happen to me? I mean, many things, very similar things have happened in the past from different countries, various countries. Venezuela has had its reserve taken away, completely. So Africans are starting to think Nigeria is in a process waiting for its gold to come back. So in other words, fellas, we're not going to take too long today. The United States of America has issued a travel advisory to its people. Be careful. Don't go to Ghana. It's dangerous. The timing is interesting because this is at the same time where Ghana has just changed the law, banning foreign nationals from purchasing gold from the country and also recalling its gold reserve from the US. And now, okay, be careful of Ghana. It's a dangerous place. But we know Ghana to be one of the two best countries in terms of democracy and stability in Africa. What's changed? Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. God bless.
All right. Thank you for tarrying with me. That's all I have for you, family. And I hope you all enjoy your day of rest tomorrow. And again, let me ask the network of 4 global controllers in free fall just to have this knowledge, and where it leads is a must see. This information will take us all into the golden age of mankind. I believe a lot of information is being found out. I hope this was informative to let you all know that tides are shifting as we all are, over here in the diaspora, dealing with the changes, but the changes for our good. And I would implore everyone to think of ways of how they can help the continent of Africa, how you could, get involved. You could visit Quest Unite Africa. And also, I would like to also put in the link for you to help continue to, help support the initiative to send a medical container to Burkina Faso. We are now at $26,000 with the help of everyone. Thank you. We are a little bit less than half away from our goal, and we just continue to keep on pushing. Now is the time more than ever to show solidarity with our brothers and sisters on the continent, to help them as they'll help us. And thank you again, everyone. I'm out. Enjoy your day of rest tomorrow and your weekend.